Hello everybody, James here again. This was a request a few minutes ago from Michael Wells in the Golden T-Mobile Facebook group to do desert back on expert using Pyros only. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's go over here. There's our desert back. Expert mode, 9-hole challenge. I don't play much with just Pyros, so bear with me. On the first hole, we're going to do a flyby and find out where the flag position is. If it's possible to make that left island, that's where we want to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go all the way up to the driver, and we should be able to make the left island. We're going to take a gold tee over here. I don't want to be too far with the driver and the forward wind, and we're going to apply a maniac, so we're risking going off the front. This is going to put us more towards the middle of the island. The driver should work if we went about 98%, I'd say, but it does come in with a lower trajectory, and it's just easier if you have a little bit of tailwind to go with the high loft driver. And we're going to quick shot it to the middle of the island. And like I said, the driver about 98% would have been further up, but we don't really need to do all of that. Now for the second shot, we're going to go up to the driver. We do not want to go through the trees. If we were back here at the back left part of the green, we would be able to go with a couple different clubs, but going through the trees, we want to use the zero bird or the driver. If we apply a wind cutter, I'm going to show you this shot here, and this is not the not the typical shot I would take. But if we apply a wind cutter, we could go, let's see, we need to take 46 yards off. That's about 15%. We're not going to account for the wind or the down because we're going to land in the rough, so we're going to take 15% off. Went too far. And as you can see, the rough is going to hold it up. So that's not the shot that we want to take. And I was just showing you that, so that way you would know that that's not the route that you want to go. What we actually want to do is use an orbits ball and just go full power and try to stick it on the green. And we could dial that in a little bit more. If we were to use an orbits and go, I don't know, we'll say 90, probably 93% if I was trying to dial it in. Went a hair long, but that's what you want to do there. To calculate that, if we took 7% off, when you're using an orbits, I had the 11 forward wind, so the orbits is going to kind of cancel that. If we take 7% off of the driver, we're going to lose roughly 22 yards and go to about 295, but you're also going to lose about 10% when you use an orbits. The orbits will cancel the wind, but you kind of double it for the orbits. So the 10% for the orbits is going to cancel that forward wind, and then you're going to take an additional 10% off. And that's for that hole, and that's simply because of the low trajectory in which the orbits or the driver comes in when you're using an orbits. There is another route that some people choose to take, and that's to go to the right island and then go over the mountain through the trees, but with that pin position, going to the right island or the middle island was not the right move. Alright, for the second hole, and this is so much easier with a with insiders, because normally I'll aim over here and do some kind of curve, but we're going to go ahead and apply a torpedo. We're going to aim over here a little bit towards the middle of the fairway. and just kind of cut it in. Alright. This one I am not too familiar with because of the fact that, like I said, I use insiders so much, and I would have been further up and going at this with probably my 7 or 6 wood. When you lose 6 yards, so we're going to take off 2%. We're going to get that back, 2% with the down angled wind. So roughly, if there was no elevation, I'd say we would end up going about 275-ish. But we do have elevation to account for, which is going to take off about 15 yards. So we want to go about 294. And that's what we have here. So we're going to just go ahead and try this. And again, I don't play this often at all with the Pyros. So the 5% rule, that would have been for using insiders. We'll see if that works with the Pyros as well. We do click over to the right a little bit because of the left wind's not going to have as much effect, and neither is the right 2 with the green, and here's why. The left wind isn't going to take full effect because the green's elevated, so the ball's not in the air as long, and the right 2 isn't going to take as much effect because when we're landing on an uphill green, so we're only going to go over just a little bit. We're going to send this full power. If we take off 15, we're going 280. We need to lose about 7 more yards. It's 2.3%. We're going to go 99%. Okay, yeah, so full power probably would have been better. Again, I don't play this course often with Pyros because it's such a long course. Even on expert, a lot of the time, some of the holes require insiders. Okay, for this hole here, we're gonna look at the clubs that we're at. We need to lose 10 yards. It's a little less than 4%. We do have an up 6 with a club factor of 0.65. So we're pretty even with the up 6 and the club, but we do have a slight downwind, so we're gonna go ahead and apply a bronze tee, and we're gonna try let's try 99%. For our click count, we're gonna go over about 12 clicks to like about right there. Let's try 99% with this. This is probably going to come up short, but I don't want to risk being long. And we don't have a dead middle green, or I would have opted to go with the 1 iron instead. Yeah, and like I said, it was going to end up short. I knew if I went 100%, I was going to be behind the hole. It had a chance to bounce in, but I like to dial in directly to the hole. So 99.5, and again, to get to 99.5, you pull down until the power meter fills with green. If you pull down a little bit more than that, it'll flash. That'll tell you you're 100%. You don't want to do that. You want to pull down until the power meter fills with green, and then just barely etch it down a hair more. You will not see anything visual, and when you slide up, it'll show 100% without the screen flashing green. That would be your 99.5%. For this shot, if we're in the left tee box, we move the tee to the right. If we're in the right tee box, we move it to the left. If we're in the center tee box, we're going to leave it completely alone. But since we don't have insiders, if we had insiders, we would wind cutter this. But since we don't have insiders, we're going to use a torpedo and try to get out there as close to that strip as possible. Adjust over for the wind, and torpedo out as far as possible. Now we look at our next shot. Even our driver doesn't make it to the front edge of the green. If we had some tailwind, we would have gone further onto that strip. We would be able to choose something like a Maniacs. I'm going to show you this just so you don't attempt it. I used a torpedo, which will get you the furthest off the tee with a drive. And even the driver and I'm going to take a mulligan. I just want to show you guys this, that it does not work when you have headwind from that left tee box. Even the driver with a Maniacs is going to come up short. And a lot of people will try to push it with that Maniacs. That's not the right move. What you have to do here is you have to take your medicine. And by taking your medicine, we're going to aim over here to the fairway. And we're just going to take that lost stroke. And this is why Desert Back is primarily an insider course. And that's because insiders there, I could have torpedoed out with the same setup. And even then, I would have maybe still been pushing to make the green. I think I probably would have, in this specific setup, because we had that back left tee box and we were kind of back in the tee box itself, I probably still would have had to lay up with insiders. Alright, we've got the 9-iron. It's going to get us there, so now we're going to calculate. We need to go about 3 to the left, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go one more to the left to about right here, and that's going to be our setup for this left 3 wind, left 2 green. We need to lose 7 yards, which is roughly 7%. The slight up with the wind, but also the up one with the green slope, are pretty much going to cancel each other out, so we're just going to take off 7% and go to 93%. Inches away from holing out. Maybe a hair to the right, maybe a dash more on the power meter. Again, with the power meter, there are 3 different spots that'll register as 93%. It could be 92.7, could be 93, could be 93.3. But let's look at this real quick. 92.7 and 93.3 will both register as 93, but they're 0.6% off. 0.6% with a 9-iron is going to be 2 feet. Now that 2 feet may not seem like a lot, but that's the difference between being just in front of the hole or just behind the hole. And maybe the 93 exact would have been in the hole. So don't be surprised if you try a shot and you do the math and you go to 96% like the math suggests and you end up short. That's because there's 3 different spots on that power meter that are all going to register as 96. If you're playing on a tablet, there's actually like 6 different spots. They're very, very, very faint when you're clicking down in power. If you're moving, like a normal pace, you'll see the 3 different spots. But if you like literally feather your finger, you'll see it just hair up. It's almost not visual. Those are the gaps between 93.3 and 93.6, where you're hitting 93.5%. Alright, this hole here, I'm kind of guessing at this because I, again, primarily play with insiders. But I like to go through this little gap right here. Let's see if I can get the flyby to pan through it. That little gap mountain that it just curved at. I like to go through that just because there's a lot of trees and shit here. And even if you go over this way and fly over, there's those trees right there which are going to stop me from being able to cut back. I could maybe try to do a cut shot where I go between these 2 trees and then to the left, hit the rough and trickle on. That's a lot of ifs, so we're going to play it this way. Normally with a left wind, we would go over here and curve around the right side of the mountain, but we have such a tucked front left pin that that's not going to work. So we're going to go all the way to the left with a high tee. We're going to look at this real quick. Now the Maniacs cut that we're going to do is going to, the Maniacs and the cut are going to cancel each other out. So we're going to end up going about 323, assuming we land on the green. We have a slight forward wind, so we're going to cut down to the high loft driver. And I'm hoping when I make this cut that I'm hoping when we make this cut that we'll land either just barely on the rough and jump onto the green, or we'll hit on the green and go past the pin. We're not going to be aiming to hole out here. If you want instructions on how to hole out on a hole like this, regardless of the pin position, there's many players that are going to be better off than me. Most of them, you know, the cabinet players like Mr. Golden T, Meow Chopper, Kins, even Jordan Scott is going to be better at dialing in the power and accuracy with these cabinet shots. When I have to do cabinet shots or full shots, there's only a few holes that I'm extremely confident at dialing it in to attempt to hold it out. It's like Volcano 2 or Hawthorne 18 and Teal 9 and Teal 18, where I'm attacking them typically with a sniper or a wind cutter. Alright, so when we pull down, the end trajectory is going to be left of center already. We're going to cheat a hair to the right, and we do have a left wind, so we're going to pull down to, I think, about right there. We're going to do a full one forward. And I shouldn't have moved right, so let's take a mulligan. Again, I'm not a cabinet style player. Let's take a mulligan. Let's just leave it where it was at. Let's pull down to where we did before and just do a B1. And that got us on the green and really close. And again, that's what we were hoping for, is to either hit the rough and kind of trickle on, or to hit the green and bounce to where we're leaving ourselves about a 50-foot putt back. If we didn't have left wind, if we had like a, let's say a right wind, then we wouldn't have pulled down until left. If we had a right 12 instead of left 12, we probably would have just pulled straight down and done that B1 cut. Alright, for this hole, there's so many different ways to attack it depending on the pin. We do have a wind cutter pin, but the 5 wood is going to come in at a very, very low trajectory. I'm going to shoot it with a 5 wood without a T, but I would suggest using a T here. We're going to move about 30 clicks to the left, somewhere around right there is what we're going to aim at. Let's do the math. Again, you see I'm about middle of the D, so I'll set up on the next one with a T and put it in the same spot, middle of the D. We need to lose 15 yards. It's just a hair under 6%. We have a combination of 4 working against us, 1 up on the green, 3 wind in our face, club factor of 0.65. It's going to put us at 2.7%. We'll say that the original was 5.7, so we're going to go 3% off to 97%. And this may cover, this may carry, but you're going to see most likely why I would suggest using a T here. It did carry, okay. The 5 wood, 4 wood, and stuff like that do travel at a much lower trajectory than that would have been a 7 or a 6 wood with insiders. And that's why I was thinking I'd probably have to use a T. For anything that's under 12 foot, you typically don't have to adjust. You can just pull down and push straight up for a putt. Just because I don't like catching the edge of the cup, I do adjust it left a little bit for something like a right 7 or a right 10. But you can pull down and push straight up for 10, 11 foot putt. Anything under 10 feet, you don't have to adjust at all. I don't care if it's a right 15. If it's under 10 feet, it's what we call an auto putt. Excuse me. All right, for this hole, we've got the worst wind possible, and that's a direct headwind. Normally, we put a gold tee over here. We'd aim over here to this little tip that juts out. We'd shoot a maniacs. I'm going to show you why that's not going to work. Because we don't make it long enough. So, this is another hole we're going to have to take our medicine on. If we had tailwind, I'd be able to show you how to make this green in 2. But since we don't, we're not going to bother wasting a gold tee here. But we are going to use a maniacs because we don't want the ball doing something funky and ending up in the rough or ending up in the water. We're just going to put it out here to the middle of the fairway. And again, the reason why we're doing that is because As you can see, that down 13 is going to play a lot in our face for the driver. And even then, the driver is not going to make it. Doesn't matter how hard you try, doesn't matter how perfect of a shot you do, you're just not going to make this from that 630 yards off the tee with a driver in this headwind. So we're going to go down to a high loft driver. We're going to aim out here to the fairway, and we're just going to hit it out to the fairway so we can get on in 3. We want to get positioned to where we can attack this with a pitching wedge or a 9-iron, depending on the pin location. Alright, we're going to apply the wind cutter. We have a left 3 and a left 6. The left 6 is going to play about 4. The left 3 is going to play 3. That's 7, so we need to go about 70 left. And 70 left with a pitching wedge is going to be way over here, roughly. I remember I talked to people about bullet points for stingers. I remember bullet points for the pitching wedge. Because 1% is 0.88 yards, it's really hard to get into calculating exact percentage. So the one bullet point I remember with the pitching wedge, with insiders, 66 yards is 75%. 75% with this Pyro is going to be 61.5 yards. Then if we add another 8%, we're going to add about 6.5 yards. That puts us at 68 yards. So we're at 75% plus 8% is 83%. We're going to play this green. I'm going to play this green up 3. So that puts us at 86%. And then we're going to add another 1.5. We'll call it 87.5% because of the angle of the wind. Somewhere around 87.5%. So 50, 60, 70, 80, 85, 86, 87, somewhere around right there. And let's see if we can get it to kick way over. That was a valiant effort with the pitching wedge. Pulling out the pitching wedge is extremely hard to do because, again, the pitching wedge, every 1% isn't even a yard. You're losing like 2 to 2.5 feet for every 1%. Alright, we've got options with this. We're always going to take a gold. I'm always going to take a gold high tee and move it over here. We've got option number 1, and that's to sting it with sniper. That's just because of the wind. We can sting it with a sniper and a 1-iron. I'll show you how that's going to work out. This is typically what I would do. I would actually probably do a 2-iron with insiders. We're going to go to the 1-iron, and we're going to try a grabber, and I'm going to see what this does. Again, I'm experimenting a little bit with you guys because I don't typically play with Pyros. So let's try a grabber. Let's just go full so you can see how this is going to work out. As you saw, that was a pretty good shot. If we had done the same shot, right here with a sniper, the gold high tee with a sniper, which is what I would typically do, we'll leave a much shorter putt. This isn't a green unless we have a back pin that I try to dial in to hole out, or if I'm in a contest and I need to get GSPs, then maybe I would have tried going with an Orbits, but this is why, if I needed to hole out, I might try with an Orbits, but this is why we don't use an Orbits on this green. Because if you miss the hole, you're in the water. So like I said, we're going to go, we were a hair long last time with the sticky. We're just going to take a little bit off in the power, use the same sticky. We can go like 97% maybe. And again, that's kind of the shot I would have taken had I needed GSPs. Obviously, I'm in campaign mode, so GSPs aren't necessary. Alright, the setup that we had here, unfortunately, was a -13 perfect par with Pyros. It probably would have only played -14 with Insiders, because that there was the one hole with the island strip I would have had to lay up. The second hole, I might have actually had to lay up there with Insiders too. It would have been really pushing it to attempt to make the green on the second shot. It would have required a perfect shot and then most likely chipping it in to get 14 under. So don't feel bad about, when you get a setup like this and you end up only getting 13 under. Desert back does not always play 14 under. It can play anywhere from 12 under to 15 under. The 12 under setups are extremely rare. They happen 1 out of 100 times. But most likely you're going to get a 13 or 14 under setup. Alright, for this, we're going to go with the 9-iron. The pitching wedge is not going to make it. We're going to go over about 2.5, 3, 2.5 for the wind, and then a little bit more for the right one. We need to lose 19 yards. It's going to be 18% would be 18.5, so we're going to lose 18.5%. We then need to go up 9 for the up 10. So we're going to 9.5%, and then we're going to take 3% off for the win, so we're going to 12.5% off. It's a very risky shot, and you'll see why it lands. Don't want to be long here, because it lands at the very back of the green and then rolls back to the pin. And we tap into easy birdie. And again, this one right here, it did play 12 under par. We had a 14 under par setup. We had 2 pins, both pins for the par 5s that were not reachable. So, like I said, there's the rare 1 in 100 chance that you aren't gonna get 15 under par. I've shot as bad as 8 or 9 under par on pro settings on this course. It can be extremely difficult. It frustrates most of the players that play it. So don't feel bad about your score on that course. Look at your score in relation to the way the other players played it. If you shoot a 9 under on that course and you're upset because 9 under isn't where you want to be, because you see, oh, there's people shooting 14 and 15 under on desert back, wait until the course finishes and look at how everybody else is shooting. Because again, there's a chance that your 9 under wasn't that bad if it was a 12 under setup, or it could be a 13 under setup, but terrible winds, like wind blowing to the left with a front right pin on a downhill green where the only option is to move the aim way off the right side of the green, apply an orbits, and hopes it lands on the green and bounces back to the pin instead of landing in the water. Those are your risky shots if you're trying to get close, which I primarily almost always take. Sometimes if you're not confident with the way that orbits is going to play or with the wind, use a grabber, use a sticky. Don't be afraid to use those balls. They're there for a reason. The sticky is almost always just going to be, I want to get on the green and putt for my birdie, so I'm going to use a sniper and stick it on there. That's what it's there for. As most of you have seen in prior videos, I have worked the sticky into being a GSP and even a hole out ball sometimes. It requires extreme accuracy on both your crosswind and your power, but it is very doable. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate Michael asking for me to do Desert Back. It's not my favorite course. It's actually probably my second least favorite course, and there's not many players that enjoy playing Desert Back because it's just not that scoreable. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, tell your friends to subscribe, and again, message me on Facebook, drop a comment on one of the links that I've shared, drop a comment on this video. Any questions you guys have, anything that you would like to see in the future, feel free to ask me. I'm an open book. Thanks for watching.